Alright, so today's video is on the chocolate selling ladies, like in New York City, right? How does this work? Why? What's like my philosophy on it, right? What's what's up with their kids always being asleep? Why are there like elementary schoolers running around New York City subways selling candy, right? All that stuff. So, I think the important thing to um to contextualize the conversation. I think it's important to realize that no one wants to have their kids like panhandling is known to be pretty effective, right? But no one wants to have their kids like running around the New York City subways, right? Um, and I'm sure in a large extent, if they could, if they didn't need to, they wouldn't. I literally, I guess, sign the Faustian pack of becoming a New York City chocolate LatAm seller. Okay. Um. So yeah, it's important to contextualize that. I'm sure that these people are doing it out of necessity, not because this is like a lucrative business, right? Because I really don't think so. Okay. Which leads into the first thing of I don't think I've ever seen anybody buy from these candy selling ladies, right? Like this is not a profitable business, right? I swear I take the subway every single day basically of my life, and I don't think I've seen. Granted, the trains that I take aren't like the hotspots, right? The hotspots are the tourist trains, okay? The seven, the ACE, uh, 5 is pretty big too because those all go into Manhattan, right? Um, those are the hotspots, and I don't take those. But like from what I have experienced, I don't think I've ever seen anybody buy from these chocolate seller ladies, right? So what's the deal, right? Like how do they stay afloat? Like is there not a better side hustle, right? Because like this shit does not work, okay? Um, so that's the question we're answering, right? And and I came to this question because it's depressing, right? Like very, 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 very frequently, I will see on the train, at least like one every 2 days, right? Like a lady on the train in this like dejected, beat up voice, right? She sounds like she's been saying it for 15 hours, which she has, right? She probably has gone up, like before rush hour, which is like 7, 8, and then probably gets off after rush hour, right? Which is 5 and 6, right? So literally 12 hours of work, okay? Saying like chocolate, right? I learned that word largely from this, right? Just dude, this shit's been happening since I was a kid. Okay, this is not like a new occurrence, right? But yeah, and like let's call it what it is, right? It's begging, right? Like having your 2 year old child, right, on your back, and like having like your kids follow you around selling chocolate. It's begging, right? It's begging with a few extra steps. Because a lot of time, I would imagine, right? Like the people that do, I think I've seen some people give money to them. I don't think I've ever seen people buy from them. I think, right? So let's call it what it is. It's begging, right? Um, and uh, while while I respect the hustle, right? Like why are your kids involved in this, right? And like again, how do you stay afloat, right? So on the question of how do they stay afloat, I'm pretty sure like because like 99% of the time, I would assume they're like illegal immigrants, right? Because if you're a legal immigrant, I don't know why you wouldn't just get a job in like construction or something, right? Or like McDonald's, or like literally anything else, right? Other than like selling fucking chocolate, and they'd probably pay better too. I'm sure that these ladies don't make 15 an hour, or 16 an hour, or whatever, right? In New York City, it's 16 and a half now. Because again, I don't think I've ever seen anybody buy from these ladies, right? And I think that they have someone else or like their connected family, right? The people that brought them into the country. I think those are the people, like the men probably, because they have babies, right? And I'm assuming that if they have babies, they have a dad, right? Unless this is like a get in, get out type situation, then that you're really fucked, right? But like yeah, like what do you call it? Um, the the people like definitely have like other people making money. It's just I don't think like one a family can't like live in, especially in New York City, just from construction work, right? Like there has to be some sort of supplementary income. I think that comes in the form of selling chocolates, right? When you're illegal. So yeah, that's number one. Number two, why are there children involved, right? Like these are like this is what makes me the saddest, right? Because like, dude, I've grown up in New York City my whole life, right? Like I've seen every hustle known to mankind, okay, from Girl Scout cookies to goddamn uh to like the guy that wants to sell chocolates for his basketball team, okay? I've seen it all, okay? Basketball team guy, the woman that's been pregnant uh, for, for 3 months, for a decade, right? I've seen the chocolate things. I've seen same like just like actually just begging. The other day I saw an innovator on the A train, um, on which I honestly, that guy I respect a lot more than a lot of other people. Like he had his kids with him, which is like whatever the fuck. Like I don't know, but he was asking for food, right? He wasn't even asking for money, and it worked, right? People gave him money, so it's like the reverse psychology type shit. But I genuinely think that he was trying to feed his kids, right? He was asking for deodorant too. Um, so that's the new strategy. Tap in, right? But whatever. That's besides the point. So yeah, so I've seen it all in New York City, right? Um, and recently, I've been seeing a lot more homeless people like on the side of the streets, like the classic like street sign begging. Right, I've seen a lot more people doing that with their kids, and their kids are always on TikTok. Okay, I was in Times Square today, and I saw two people literally across the street from each other, both Hispanic, both with their like 3-year-old children, and their children watching TikTok, and they're holding a sign that says like any money is appreciated, or like food or something like that, right? So those are the people that don't have the connections, right? Because like again, these people are selling chocolate bars for $2, right? Which is an absorbent markup, but that's still not competitive, right? You can get most at the deli for around or cheaper, I think, right? If you like if you know a good deli, a good place, um, and sometimes they're like $3, like it's really expensive, right? Like 2 for $5, I've seen, but like like again, it's a pity thing, right? Like it's sure it's a convenience thing, but it's a pity thing, right? It's a begging thing, and like the kids work, right? The kids, they're profitable, okay. People are more sympathetic because you have children, okay. It just is the way it is, right? Um, and and they're definitely exploiting the fact and having their children tag along to make some extra money, right? And this is where my main concern lies, right? One thing before we start that also, I saw an article that made sense. It was like a lot of times at home, right? Because these moms are out doing their shit, and sometimes the men are unemployed, right? Like waiting for like a construction job or something. Um, like a lot of the times, like it's a house of like only men and boys, right? And they don't want to leave their daughters there, for a good reason, I guess, right? Especially because a lot of times these mothers are like really young, like 16. I saw in one article, right? So like let's connect the dots, right? Like I'm not saying like uh all Hispanic men are rapists, right? That's all I'm saying, but like from the mothers themselves, like they don't feel comfortable, and also it even goes beyond just Hispanic, right? Like it's just not a great situation. Leave your daughter with literally a house full of dudes that are unemployed, struggling, and looking for work and depressed, right? Um, yeah, right. So what do you think is gonna happen? Okay, um, so they often have to take their kids with them, right? But that still doesn't excuse the big thing that these kids should be in school, and the cops legally should be enforcing that, right? Like I've gotten picked up at the subway station one time because I had a Regents exam, right? If you're familiar with New York City, there are like these statewide exams that don't really mean anything, but they're only like 3 hours, right? So you go in at like 8 o'clock in the morning, you get out at like 11, right? But you still should be in school at 11 o'clock, and not every school takes the Regents exams at the same time, and the cops oftentimes don't even know that the Regents are happening. So I got picked up one time, right? and they were like, "They should be in school right now," and I was like, "Oh, like I had a regional exam." I showed them like my ticket and the email from the school, and they let me go, right? Um, but like if these cops have enough time to picking up me, right? And I have like a book bag, right? Because I was just getting home from the Regents exams. These cops should have time to pick up these kids selling chocolate, right? Especially bro on the ACE 5 train, 7 train, dude. Those are like the tourist trains, right? They're littered with cops, right? Times Square, 42nd Street, 74th Street, like where a lot of these people camp out. These places are littered with cops, right? Because they're tourist places, right? I don't know how these cops aren't picking up these kids, okay? It's outrageous, okay? And I get it, right? Like, these families might not be able to make ends meet without their kids, but still, like, depriving these kids of, like, an education, basically doing them to repeat the cycle, right? Like, literally, like, I feel like there has to be another way, right? Like, public school in America is free, right? Um, and like if you can't afford supplies or whatever, a lot of times the schools will provide you, right? Like it literally is free by definition. Public school is free in America, right? Um, and like these kids should not be on the subway working, right? And that's not even talking about like the dangers of it, right? These are like 10-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds on the street or not on the street on the subway selling candy, right? If I was an organ harvester, it'd be so easy to pick them up, right? Like it's right? Like, I'm genuinely, I don't know what to say, right? Like, the situation sucks, okay, for everyone involved. But to deprive your kid of an education, like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna begin to pretend that I understand this family's financial situations, but like, there has to be a better way, right, than depriving your kid of an education, dooming him to become a chocolate selling lady, or her to become a chocolate selling lady, or him to be a construction worker, for you to make a little extra money selling chocolate, right? I don't know, man. It's fucked up, right? Like, it's fine that these kids are working after school, but that's not the case, right? Because I have a late start for school, right? I used to start school at 9 o'clock, okay, 9:20 actually, and when I would commute to the train at 9 o'clock, which is a little past rush hour, right? I would frequently see these kids selling chocolate on the trains, okay, and there's no excuse for that, because you should be in school. All elementary schools and middle schools in the U.S. start at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at the latest, maybe, right? There only high schools start as late as I do, right? Or colleges. So there's no kid that should be on the street selling chocolates, or on the subway selling chocolates, right? And like these are like really quiet trains. Oftentimes it's right past rush hour, right? So it's basically just people that either start late like I do, like on work or whatever, like have a 10 to 6 or whatever, or they're people late to work, right? Which happens a lot because I've seen a lot of crash outs, right? But like yeah, so like it's pretty empty most of the time, right? Like it is very easy to kidnap a kid on these trains, okay? And again, there are no cops like anywhere, right? I don't know what these cops are doing. They're playing goddamn Candy Crush, right? So it's a horrible situation for everybody involved, right? Um, yeah. So have some empathy, right? I'm not asking you uh to give them $1, right? Because I don't think you should be supporting um like this operation, right? Like I don't if it's not profitable, people will stop doing it, right? That's just that's economics, not even 101, 000, right? 001. It's the first thing in economics, right? If there's no demand, then there will not be a supply, right? And yeah, I just feel like you should not support this behavior, okay? And number 3 on the list, but have sympathy, right? Don't treat these kids like shit. I've seen a lot of people, right, rushing to their trains, like yelling at the kids to get off the stairs, right, because they're like taking a break, right, or they're waiting for the next train to come. I've seen a lot of people yelling at these kids on the stairs. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, these kids aren't doing anything to bother you, right? Like, sure, them saying like chocolate latte might like annoy you, but just put on headphones, right? Like, I get it. It's like kind of annoying because like in Japan, like their train rides are amazing, right? It's like quiet and no one does dumb shit, right? In the U.S., like you have tweakers like all the time. You have people that one either don't know what headphones are, or two have never learned like an inside voice. Full grown adults, 50 years of fucking age, and they don't know how to like not be loud as hell, right? But that's New York City for you, okay? And yeah, like it's like why are we crashing out at these kids, right? Like if anything, you should be crashing out their parents, okay? Or like I heard a lot of them from Ecuador or Venezuela, according to like this article I read. So you should be crashing out at the Ecuadorian or Venezuelan government, right? Or the countries that oppress them, right? Spanish, the U.S. historically, right, with like the Pan America thing, like right, you should not be crashing out at the kids, right, because they're products of a shitty situation. So have sympathy, right, and have sympathy for the moms too, because they're in a bad situation. Again, no one would be doing it if they didn't have to, right? You think they want? You think this is a lucrative hustle, selling goddamn chocolate at a 2 times markup on the train? It's not, right? Um, so yeah. Uh, okay, part three of this, which I think is probably like the most concerning for me, is like the kids on these moms' backs. Okay, um, number one, it's because they have to take care of them, right? Like you have to breastfeed them. But number two, it's absolutely a sympathy thing. Okay, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay, like you don't think it gives you plus sympathy points, right? To have a kid on your back because it tells people that I have a kid I need to raise. So, like I like maybe you don't give the money to me, but for my kid, right? And people have an incredible amount of sympathy for children, right? That's just the way it is, and that's an undeniable fact, right? But yeah. So like, these kids, right? Like the kids are fine in and of themselves, right? Just because they can't be in school or anything. Like they're just chilling with their moms. Um, but like if they're the type of like, there are some there are some people that sell outside on the street. That is gonna fuck your kid up. That's how you get them skin cancer in 2 seconds, right? I don't know if like Latin Americans are more like prone to skin cancer because they have darker skin. But like I wouldn't take the risk, right? But I mean, whatever, right? I mean, I know it's like it's a necessity, right? Just like practically because you need to feed them, right? But at the same time, like the thing that concerns me the most with this is otherwise it's a fine situation, right? Like have your kid get their sympathy points, get that bag clean, right? But the thing that concerns me the most is that these kids are always sleeping or really quiet, okay? And um if you've ever met a child like a toddler earlier in life, you know that they are the furthest thing from quiet, right? And these kids, and because they want attention from their moms, right? And like if they're hungry or whatever, um, and and the kids on the mom's backs are always very quiet, right? Because trust me, all the sympathy points that you get go completely out the window if this kid starts crashing out and crying, right? Um, so yeah, right. So why are these kids so quiet? Because I don't think I've ever seen kids so quiet, right? So unless Hispanic mothers are on some different shit, right? Um, and they have like and somehow their kids like don't cry. Um, the conclusion I arrived at, which I hope is wrong, or I hope I'm wrong, is that the kids are drugged, right? And it's the only thing that would make sense, or at least if not drugged, sedated, right? And it's the only way I can rationalize them not making noise, because no kid is quiet, right? And these moms aren't being like attentive at all times. The kids are just chilling in the cloth, like I don't know what they're called, like sacks or whatever, right? And like yeah, right? Like the kid also the mom's always like walking 24/7, right? So it's like bumpy, right? Um I don't know how the kids are so quiet. And the only thing I unless and I hope to God that I'm wrong, right? But unless otherwise proven, I think it's their drugs, right? The kids are given something to shut them up, right? Um, and it's a sedative, probably, right? Um, yeah. Uh, I mean, like, it's no like unregulated markets will always have some sketchy shit, right? Um, but like, I'm at a loss for words, right? Like if these kids are like these 2 year olds are truly getting drugged, to shut them up, then I think the U.S. government. I don't want to say I think the U.S. government needs to do something to save these people from themselves. Because one, I think that's like white savior complexy, and two, I think these moms realize that, and they do it knowing that the U.S. sucks, but it's still better than Venezuela, right? But so I don't want to say like deport all illegals or um, like stop them from crossing the border legally, but like I think like there should be daycares or something that these kids can be placed in, and even though the daycares are like even though placing these kids in daycares will be less profitable for the moms, right? Um, I think I think it gives them a reason. If they're a good mom, right? Any rational mom would put their kid in the daycare instead of carrying them on their back at all times and drugging them, right? Which I'm assuming is happening, right? So, and if they still have their kid on the back to make a bit of extra money, then the mom's gonna get locked up, right? Because then at that point, you're just drugging the kid for the sake of like making a bit of money, and CPS is gonna call, right? And I want to make a case for child protective services, right? Because if child protective services does a lot of dumb shit, okay, and they go after a lot of people that shouldn't be gone after, but and like getting like forcefully taken away from your parent is like traumatizing, right? But like surely that's better than having to sell chocolates instead of getting an education, right? Like CPS sucks, right? And every single American can admit that. But it's surely better than selling chocolates on New York City subways and not going to school, right? That's what I think. Because I want to end this on a more lighter note because I don't know. This whole episode episode was depressing. Um, I've been thinking about it recently. Like, are there like are there like beggar turf? Well, like this is fucked up, right? But are there like no, it's not really that fucked up. But are there like beggar turf wars? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Because like, New York again, New York City is home to every form of begging known to mankind. Okay, if there's a will, there's a way, and if there's a way to beg, there will be someone to do it. Okay. Again, every single form of begging possible, every scam possible, New York City's got it right. But yeah, like okay, what about like so? Let's say this guy, he's one of the guys that uses the like I need to fund my kids like basketball team, or I need to fund like my kid can't afford to eat, right? Let's take that guy, and we pit him against the chocolate lady. Like, are there turf wars? Because I've never seen them on the same place, right? But let's say two chocolate ladies were to run into each other, would they fist fight? Right? Like, how would they settle that? Right? Like, I don't know. I'm thinking about it, right? Like, what about the ladies that sell churros and mangoes, right? And like cut fruit. That there's always one in Atlantic, and that I can respect a lot more. And I know they get a lot more sales, right? Because they're selling a real product that you can't just buy at Costco for half the price, right? And that's not really begging. That's really just being a street vendor, right? Street vendors are like a thing, right? Um, so those are like legitimate businesses, and then people actually like care for because they're selling a real product, right? They're selling churros, which, like I'm assuming are authentically made and aren't just like some random like Costco shit. Because Costco churros, like I don't even think they sell churros, right? Um, and like the sliced mangoes and stuff, like it's at a markup, but it's a one, it's a convenience fee, and two, like have you been to Starbucks? We're not even Starbucks, like a Chinese bakery. They sell cup fruit at a markup too, right? Um, so yeah, like that's like a legitimate business, right? Um, and like how do the how do the churro ladies, or not the churro ladies, how do the uh, chocolate ladies compete with the churro ladies? I think that's why I've never seen them at Atlantic. The chocolate ladies, I've always seen them at a different place, like closer to where I live, right? I've never seen them close to Atlantic, like on the platform, because a lot of times they also, while waiting for the next train, right? Because they like hop every train car and then they go for the next train, right? Because that's more efficient, because you're guaranteeing a new round of people. Um, and while waiting for the next train, they'll also try to sell on the platform, right? Or if they're tired, they'll take a break, right? I've seen a lot of them taking breaks actually at Atlantic, right? But I don't think I've ever seen one selling at Atlantic. Because also I know that they probably just have need to have places to bathrooms, right? And Atlantic has a bathroom, so there's definitely like there's no reason why they wouldn't be at Atlantic except for that they can't compete with the churro ladies. But then why aren't more churro like how are there not more churro ladies dominating the market, right? Like maybe because it makes less money. I would hope not, right? That's one reason, or two because like there's some turf war shit happening, and the Mexican chocolate ladies are getting forced. Or no, sorry, the Mexican chocolate ladies are for not they're not Mexican. I'm sorry, they're Latin American. Latin American churro ladies or chocolate ladies are getting forced out, or no, are forcing out the churro ladies, which is my best guess. Um, but yeah, there's that. That's a deep dive on New York City chocolate ladies. So, um, what's the takeaway from this, right? I think I've advocated this a lot of times on YouTube, but you should be sympathetic towards people less fortunate than you, right? Um, because it's easy to say, why come to America if you have to sell chocolate? But obviously, it's like every human being is at least somewhat intelligent, right? They can weigh two options, and if they weigh America as a better option and selling chocolates in America as a better option than staying in Venezuela or Guatemala. Again, which is why I've heard where they're coming from. I'm not being racist, right? Um, then then like obviously they would go to America, right? And I think like Venezuela and Guatemala are just that bad that they have to choose this option. Um, so I'm not asking you to give them your money, right? Because um, I don't think anyone should ever be guilted into doing anything, right? But I think genuinely, from a philosophical, ethical standpoint, and if you're utilitarian, or even just a emotivist, I think they're called, which is like the most ethical solution is the one that makes, or no, so utilitarian measures things based on quantifiable happiness, which is why incest isn't bad in a utilitarian's perspective. But an emotivist measures it by how humans feel about it, which isn't necessarily good or bad. It, it allows for a gray area, but it's not as objective, right? Like incest, we all feel bad about incest, so incest is bad, right? If you're an emotivist, which a lot of people are, they act off their emotions, right? Whether you like classify yourself as one or not. And a lot of people like choose ethics based on what they feel. Um, I think I think you can spare a dollar, right? Um, but that's my 2 cents, right? But don't support the kids. Uh, show that the kids don't work, and show that the drugged babies don't work. If I'm right about that, if I'm wrong, someone please tell me. But if I'm right about that, show that the drug babies don't work. But anybody else that's struggling and you can, and you make, bro. If you, especially if you take the AC and E trains for commute, you probably work in Manhattan and you make those big bucks, right? And you can spare $5 to you on your salary is a lot less than $5 to them. They probably make $30 in half a day. You make $30 in half an hour. Okay, so spare them $5. Um, yeah, right. Make the world a better place. And I'm not guilting you into spending your money, but yeah. So subscribe, guys. That was a really sad episode, but good night.